Alright, this is super late, but I'm finally getting around to doing my Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom review, even though I saw it a while ago, but the thoughts are certainly still fresh in my mind. I was in the camp of one of those who really enjoyed the first film. It's kind of funny, my mom loves it even more than I do, but I was still a huge fan. Obviously a very different direction than Jurassic Park, but I just loved kind of how open it was about just being completely ridiculous with the dinosaurs and the action. And the characters weren't really that great, but that was fine because I was there for the dinosaurs and they were like eating everything and explosions everywhere. It was awesome. This one, I could tell from the trailers that it was trying to go a different direction, and I wasn't really sure that I liked it because we still saw the volcano exploding and there was always fire in most of the shots, and then it was mixed with these kind of eerie, gothic, weird, dark stuff, which I wasn't sure how that was going to work because it was still using the unfleshed out characters from the first film, as well as some new additions that I hadn't met yet. And then watching the film, it kind of lived up to that. Honestly, it was just a very strange mix of trying to be darker than Jurassic World and a little more serious in some areas. You know, we don't get a ton of the dinosaurs in the beginning. In the first one, the dinosaurs are out and about in the park like 30 minutes into the movie. Here, we don't get that as much. It's a long, drawn-out thing until they finally get to the island, and there's kind of the stampede that you see in the trailers, but there aren't really any big dinosaur fights, which personally I was looking forward to in the film because that's the theme had established in the first one. And instead, we're spending time with Claire, Owen, the new people, and I didn't find the new people any more interesting than Claire and Owen. I mean, Claire and Owen I have some attachment to because of their part in the first film, and you know, Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt are charismatic people, and for that reason I can be engaged with their characters, but it worked a lot more for me in the first one when I was just with these characters to kind of get me from dinosaur fight to dinosaur fight. And in this one, I was just kind of with them the whole movie, and it really started coming down on me like, yeah, you know, there's not a whole lot to these characters. And the two new people weren't very special either, in my opinion. So it was spending time with these people, and I just didn't really care. All I wanted to do was see the dinosaurs. And the dinosaurs were there, but not to the extent that they were in the first film. And when I say first film, I'm talking about Jurassic World, because I kind of separate the Jurassic Park series and the Jurassic World series. They're related, but very different. In the first one, we have obviously the final fight, which was just a huge part of what makes that film for me. And then there's the part where the babysitter gets eaten, which is hilarious. There's the part where the gyrospheres getting whacked around by the ankylosaurs. And there's a few small fights on the island, and then one towards the end, but there was really only 2 or 3 moments of real dinosaur action in the film. Yeah, there's the stampede, but it wasn't a whole lot there until, you know, the T-Rex comes in, as you see in the trailer. And there's the part with the Baryonyx that you see in the trailer. The Baryonyx doesn't really end up even attacking them at that point. It just comes in and, oh, look, there's lava, and it runs away. And so there were a few moments of dinosaur action, but all of those moments left me feeling extremely disappointed because I didn't feel any of them were very entertaining. Certainly not to the level of those in Jurassic World, but not really entertaining even in this film on its own. And then the ending was just even more disappointing. They built up the Indoraptor as like this huge thing, and then just the climactic fight was such a letdown, especially compared to what happened at the end of the last film. And when you think about how the Indoraptor is supposed to be like a huge improvement over the Indominus Rex, I was kind of disappointed and confused as to how this was even supposed to fit in the movie. It's like it took 3 dinosaurs to take out the Indominus Rex, and then the Indoraptor, it doesn't. And I couldn't understand it, and that was a huge thing that just really bothered me. So you come to ending on that disappointing note, and then the beginning, the first, like, the opening sequence, I really enjoyed. So we've got the part I like pretty much the most in the beginning, and the part I like the least at the end. That's a huge reason why I kind of left the theater in the mood I did. But I've been pretty much entirely negative. There were a few moments here and there throughout the film that I enjoyed. There's a shot when they leave the island that I really liked. Some of the dinosaur fights, the dinosaur fights that were there were my favorite parts of the movies, even though they weren't what I had hoped they could be. And then at the very, very end, after the kind of climax fight with the Indoraptor, there's a few moments that I enjoyed there. Just like, it's 1 or 2 second shots, so it doesn't really add a whole lot, but it was just one kind of thing where I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then they set it up for a sequel where hopefully I'll see more stuff like that. So oddly, I'm still kind of ready for the sequel, even though I didn't like this one near as much as I did the first. Maybe if you really dug the characters, or at least Owen and Claire in Jurassic World, and then you might get a little bit more out of this than I did. Or if your expectations of dinosaur fights are not as high as I am, I think there's certainly a portion of audience members that'll find decent enjoyment out of this. But I think you would have to argue really hard against me to convince me that it's better than the first one.